Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down one of the most popular and frankly, most effective forms of therapy out there, cognitive behavioral therapy, or as you probably know it, CBT. So think of this as a kind of owner's manual for your mind, how it works, and way more importantly, how you can use these principles to really understand what's going on in there.
So let's just dive right in because this quote, this is it. This is the engine that drives the whole thing. And it's an idea that goes way back, like thousands of years to the Stoic philosophers. The concept is actually pretty simple. Stuff that happens is just neutral. It's the story we tell ourselves about it, the meaning we attach to it, that creates how we actually feel. And this slide right here shows you exactly how that works in the real world. I mean, look at this example, getting some critical feedback at work. For one person, their internal story immediately goes to, I'm a failure, and that leads to anxiety, feeling devastated. But for another person, that exact same feedback sparks a totally different thought, like, okay, this is useful, I can get better, and that leads to determination. It's the same event, but two totally different worlds emotionally, and it's all dictated by that interpretation.
And, well, that brings us right to the one big idea behind all of CBT. Your thoughts are not just these passive things floating around. No, they are the architects of how you feel and what you do. Now, this isn't about blaming yourself for feeling bad, not at all. It's actually about empowerment. It's about realizing you have the power to change how you feel by changing how you think.
Okay, so if our interpretations of things are so important, then how do they actually work? Well, CBT has this fantastic metaphor for it, the iceberg model. It's this idea that our thinking happens on 3 different levels, and, just like a real iceberg, most of what's going on is actually hidden beneath the surface. So right at the very top, the part of the iceberg you can actually see are what CBT calls negative automatic thoughts, or NATs for short. These are those super quick, in-the-moment thoughts that just pop into your head. A lot of the time, they're so fast we don't even really notice them. Like you're about to give a presentation and bam, the thought, I'm gonna fail, just flashes in your mind, and suddenly you feel anxious. Okay, now let's go just under the water's surface. This is where we find the next layer, our underlying assumptions. You can think of these as the personal if-then rule books we all live by. They're what hold up our automatic thoughts. So that gnat, I'm going to fail, is probably being propped up by a deeper assumption, something like, if I fail at this, then that means everyone will think I'm incompetent.
And way down at the bottom, the huge, invisible base of that iceberg, that's where we find our core beliefs. These are the really deep, fundamental truths we hold about ourselves and the world. They're often formed when we're kids, and they don't feel like opinions, man. They feel like facts. So that if-then rule we just talked about, it's probably rooted in a core belief that's as simple and powerful as, I am incompetent. And that belief just sits there, running in the background, shaping everything above it.
So, if we've got this whole iceberg model in our heads, how does CBT actually work in a session? I can tell you, it's not some vague, free-form chat. It's actually a very structured, very active process. You could almost think of it like having a personal trainer, but for your mind. A typical session follows a pretty clear roadmap. As you can see here, you and the therapist set an agenda together. You talk about the homework or things you practice between sessions, and then you dig into a specific problem. The whole point is to make every minute count and make sure the work you're doing in the room actually helps you in your real life.
This whole approach points to one of the coolest ideas in CBT, collaborative empiricism. It sounds a little academic, I know, but all it means is that you and your therapist basically become a team of scientists. Your thoughts, they're not treated as facts. They're treated like hypotheses, and your job together is to go out and run experiments in the real world to see if they're actually true.
Now, because CBT is so practical and structured, a few myths have kind of popped up around it. So let's just take a quick second to clear the air and talk about what CBT is not.
Okay, first big myth, that CBT is just positive thinking. It is absolutely not. The goal isn't to just force a happy thought onto a tough situation. The real goal is to become a more realistic thinker. It's about looking at all the evidence, the good, the bad, the neutral, to land on a more balanced and honestly more helpful way of looking at things.
Here's another one you hear a lot. CBT just ignores your past. And while it's true that the main focus is on the here and now, on what's keeping your problems going today, it definitely acknowledges that your past is where a lot of those deep core beliefs got started. So the work might happen in the present, but understanding where it all came from often means taking a look back.
And all of this, all these techniques and ideas, they all lead to the ultimate goal of the whole process. And this might be the most powerful part of CBT.
It's not about some magic fix or depending on someone else to make you better. The crucial takeaway is this: the whole point of CBT is to eventually make the therapist unnecessary. It's designed to give you a set of tools, a whole toolkit of skills, so that you can become your own therapist, so you can understand and challenge and manage your own mind for the rest of your life. It's about empowerment, not dependency.
So that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. After everything we've talked about, what's just one automatic thought that you have that maybe today you could start to look at with a little more curiosity? Not as a fact, but just as a hypothesis, something to be tested. Because that simple little shift in perspective, that's where the real change always begins.